Do you think nutrition can help you to prevent the majority of diseases?
Oh yes, 90% of it.
I'm trying to eat healthy too because I want to show my kids that eating healthy is the way in order to make your body feel better. So if you eat healthy and try to maintain a healthy diet and eat lots of fruits and vegetables, that's the way, you even live longer.
Yeah, I definitely have to look at labels now. I probably look at them more than my wife does, to tell you the truth.
Welcome. Today, we begin a two-part series on healthy eating. We will discuss 7 principles that can help you to eat healthier and prevent diseases. So grab a pen and paper, and we will be right back. Welcome back. With me today is registered dietitian Gwen Moore to help us to better understand how to eat healthier and prevent diseases. So Gwen, tell us a little bit about what you do. You are a dietitian and where you work and things like that.
I have a master's in public health degree. I currently work as a clinical dietitian in a local hospital.
So you've been a dietitian for quite some time, so this is really, you're passionate about this topic.
Very passionate about it.
Okay.
Actually, I'm more holistic, alternative.
Right,
I'm
right.
47 years old. I have been doing this since the 80s, actually.
Right, right. Okay, well, we have 7 principles we will go through in the next few weeks. Today, we have time to cover 4 of those principles. So today, we will look at food groups, portion sizes, how to read food labels, and we will share with you some tips that can help you to change the way you look at food so you can eat healthier and hopefully prevent diseases. Let's begin with food groups. People are really confused. We have 3 major food groups. We have carbohydrates, we have proteins, and we have fats. And with carbohydrates, we know that it comes in 3 forms. We have simple carbohydrates, mostly sweets, refined, found in pastries, and then complex carbohydrates. That is what we really need. So let's talk a little bit more about what we need, which is the complex carbohydrates.
Okay, complex carbohydrates will be pretty much foods that have fiber in them.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about like maybe yams or certain types of vegetables and things of that nature. And as we know, carbohydrates would break down into sugar,
right,
or technical name is glucose, which is the brain's chief source of energy. And the
Absolutely.
brain directs the rest of the body.
Right. And we want more of the complex, like the oatmeal, the cereal, the whole grain products, and we get fiber through that as well.
Exactly.
And let's talk about fibers. Very important for the bowel. It helps to prevent hemorrhoids. Let's talk more about fibers.
Pretty much the recommended daily intake for fiber is 25 to 30 grams per
Right.
day. You have your insoluble fibers, like what you'll find in oatmeal or something like
Right.
that, that will form into a gel that will actually bind to cholesterol and things of that nature and pull it out of the blood system.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
you want your insoluble fibers, and you have your soluble fibers.
Right.
Basically, eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of roughage, eating legumes
Yes.
like split peas, beans, and things of that
Right.
nature are very, very high in fiber.
And the fibers add weight to the stool. It draws water into the stool. It relieves constipation. And as you have frequent bowel movements, you get rid of all the toxins. And as a result, that lowers the risk for colon cancer. But let's talk about fats.
Okay.
Not all fats are bad. We have good fats, we have bad fats. Saturated fats obviously are bad for you. Let's talk about that.
Okay, saturated fats you're going to find in meat,
Right.
and you're going to find in dairy and
Yes.
cheese and things
Right,
of
right.
that nature. And as we know, that has been the culprit that's indicated in heart disease and things of that
yes.
nature.
Right. And we have good fats that we can get from things such as avocado,
Exactly.
olive oil,
Yeah.
canola oil, peanuts. Those are good fats.
And walnuts,
And
yeah.
walnuts, yeah.
So you have your essential fatty acid.
Right.
Essential meaning the body cannot manufacture it, so it's essential that you get it in your diet.
Right,
so
right.
we need fat. Actually, what's really good in prevention of heart disease are like your fish.
Right.
Salmon, your fatty fish, it's like your salmon, your mackerel, sardines, halibut, and things. Tuna.
Tuna is good.
Very, very good. In fact, 2 to 3 servings a week, has been known to help prevent heart disease. And
well, I'm talking about 2 to 3 servings of fish. When we talk about 3 ounces, that's a recommendation. It's about this much, okay? 3 ounces and about this thick. And I have a good example here to show right there.
Okay.
This is 3 ounces. This is really what's recommended. If you have this 2 to 3 times per week, it's okay. And that's fish is very rich in omega-3 fatty acid. Let's talk about that. Omega-3 fatty acid is good. It helps to slow inflammation. It's good for arthritis. It makes the blood thinner. Some good food sources are walnuts, flaxseed.
Exactly. You have your omega-3s and your omega-6s.
Right.
And again, your omega-3s you're going to find in your fish and things of that nature. The omega-6s you're going to find in vegetable oils like safflower oil.
Right.
And the thing, you want to have more, in the U.S., we tend to have more of omega-6s, a high level of omega-6s and low levels of omega-3, so the balance is distorted.
Coming up.
And this is a good transition into using the food groups to balance your meal every day. Because in order to learn how to balance your meal, you need to understand food group.
Then later.
You want to have about 55% carbohydrates, 15% protein, and 30% fat. So what does that look like in terms of grams?
Do you view nutrition as medicine?
Very, I think so. Not strictly in the sense of medicine, but basically, you can say yes or no. But me, traditionally, I don't like to view it as medicine. I think it's just, if food is naturally, like it was stated from, if it's just not tampered with, it's better for your health. That's where organic comes in.
Yes, a lot of healthy eating and just staying away from certain fried foods. That's better on our body, and it does prevent like diabetes, certain diseases, because you eat a lot of fried food or just meat that's not cooked well. I think everything should basically be grilled or broiled, not fried.
Balanced diet is moderate in everything. Everything you eat, just be moderate, and just make sure it's not tampered with in any way, as far as from the ground to the shelf life.
A balanced diet would be healthy fruits and vegetables, salad, food off the food pyramid. And if you have 3 to 4 servings of each fruits and vegetables, and then you have your whole grains, which is your rice and healthy brown rice.
Do you think nutrition can help you to prevent the majority of diseases?
Oh yes, 90% of it. For instance, me, I had a job where I work, maintenance, where it demands a lot of physical activity. When I started paying attention to what I'm eating, my activities improved, my enhancement, my durability, my way of working and how I want to work. I'm not tired.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely reverse disease and stuff by eating properly and exercising.
Yes, because a lot of the stuff that most of the young kids are eating, if they don't eat healthy, then you can tell.
Let's talk about proteins.
Okay.
I recommend plant-based sources. Nuts, beans, those are good sources of proteins. I will stay away from animal sources. What do you have to add to that?
I don't have a problem with animal sources of protein, because you want what's called high biological value protein. That's the amount that your body can absorb and assimilate. You'll find that in meat.
Right.
What I generally recommend, if you're chicken, you want to use chicken, poultry, take the skin off of it, and it's a really good source of protein. You need to limit the amount of meat that you eat, and the suggestion is roughly 5.5 ounces per day is a recommended daily intake, which is like, think of 2 servings, a deck of cards twice.
Right.
But I also suggest if you're going to eat meat, you need to balance the meat with fresh, vegetables,
Fruits
like
and vegetables.
salads. So
Right.
meat is kind of like, you know, it'll be bad for you if you eat it by itself all the time.
Right.
But think of balance, think
Absolutely.
of moderation.
And this is a good transition into using the food groups to balance your meal every day. Because in order to learn how to balance your meal, you need to understand food groups. So the essence of a balanced meal is having sufficient amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats on each meal. And you mix that with fruits, vegetables, and fibers.
Think of whole grains, okay? For instance, brown rice versus white rice. White
Right.
rice is just starch, which is really just sugar.
Absolutely.
The whole grain has the fiber, the bran, the germ, the enzyme, the vitamin,
Right.
the mineral. So just think of balance.
Absolutely.
And generally, for a lot of people who eat a lot of carbs, especially the white flour and the white sugar,
Right.
just try and think of getting a little protein in there with every meal, like some peanut butter or something like that to help balance that out.
And the proteins are good because it makes you feel full. You don't feel hungry. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will go over portion sizes and how to read food labels. Stay tuned.
Coming up on the next episode.
Olive oils can be pricey, but canola is just as good.
I say olive oil is cheaper than the surgeon's knife. Okay, you make a choice. Okay, so it'll protect you from
Cheaper than the
diseases that happen
surgeon's
from-
knife. I like that.
Exactly. So it's worth it. You're worth it, right?
Right,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Choose wisely, and remember, it's a lifestyle.
Do you think nutrition can help you to prevent the majority of diseases?
Oh, yes, 90% of it.
Yes, definitely.
For instance, me, I had a job where I work, maintenance, where it demands a lot of physical activity. When I started paying attention to what I'm eating, my activities improved, my enhancement, my durability, my way of working and how I want to work. I'm not tired, and I noticed the connection with organic products versus natural products. When I kept doing that and paying attention to that, basically, if I didn't pay attention, I wouldn't be on my job now. So, yeah, it's very important.
What is your understanding of a balanced diet?
Fruits, grains, nuts, and vegetables.
Balanced diet is moderate in everything. Everything you eat, just be moderate. And just make sure it's not tampered with in any way as far as from the ground to the shelf life. Very important. Because if it's not organic, basically organic food is it's not synthetic fertilizer in the ground and on the shelf. Well, natural food is synthetic fertilizer in the ground, but organic or natural on the shelf. So it's a half and half thing. So I like it non-tampered with all the way, with no synthetic ingredients in the fertilizer and in the ground and on the shelf, which extends your shelf life if you know anything about organic food products. Yes, very important.
A balanced diet would be healthy fruits and vegetables, salad, food off the food pyramid. And if you have 3 to 4 servings of each fruits and vegetables, and then you have your whole grains, which is your rice and healthy brown rice and whole wheat bread. And just make sure you drink a lot of water and cut back on sugars. And basically have the 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day.
What do you think is the difference between organic versus whole food?
Oh, extremely different. You get more nutrients, very much, very important. And then it's just you feel better.
Okay.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. It's no, shortcuts. Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Okay, you get more nutrients from what?
From organic versus the natural. Yeah.
Okay.
You're dealing with the natural. You just gotta know what you're doing and understand the full meaning of it. Because the natural food is like, they have synthetic, basically, combination of synthetic and organic. But organic is organic, where they got rules and regulations where they stand by the standards of organic. Of the 1980, I think it is, Organic Act. So it's very important. Yeah.
Okay.
Organic, I believe, is grown differently and no pesticides added, and it's healthier for your body. So when you eat the organic food, it's basically free of everything. It's just natural, more natural and healthier for your body.
So do you think one is better?
Basically, the way it's grown, if it has no pesticides in it, and if it's, yes, I do. I believe one is better if it's grown healthier and just basically with no chemicals. Yeah, it's better for your body.
Yeah, I think so. I think organic is a healthier food. Doesn't have all the pesticides and stuff in it.
So when you read food labels, what do you read?
First of all, you make sure if it's simple as a store like this that says organic, then it's easier. But then basically, when you shopping, some of the stores starting to carry 30% of organic material. And it's stated on that package. Yes, yes, very important.
My wife is the one that does most of the shopping, but I had heart disease 4 years ago. I had heart surgery, and so I had to start looking at labels and, the sodium content and stuff. I was amazed at, like I used to like to eat this ramen noodle soup, tons of salt in that stuff. So yeah, I definitely have to look at labels now. I probably look at them more than my wife does, to tell you the truth. She'll bring stuff home and I'll say, did you read the label on this thing? So yeah, I look at labels.
A lot of healthy eating and just staying away from certain fried foods, that's better on our body, and it does prevent like diabetes, certain diseases, because we eat a lot of fried food or just meat that's not cooked well. I think everything should basically be grilled or broiled, not fried.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us today, we're talking about healthy eating to prevent diseases. And with me is registered dietitian Gwen Moore. And before the break, we were talking about food groups. We went over carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and we have recommendations that we're supposed to go by for how much carbohydrates to eat per day. So you have something on the board here. Why don't you explain that to the audience so they can better understand?
Okay, we're talking about carbohydrates, protein, and fat, and you're like, well, how many carbs can I eat per day? What percentage of fat? And this sort of gives you an example based on a 2,000 calorie diet. You want to have about 55% carbohydrates, 15% protein, and 30% fat. So what does that look like in terms of grams? It comes out to about 275 grams of carbohydrates, 75 grams of protein, and 65 grams of fat. Now, keep in mind that these portions vary from person to person. It's like we all have individual thumbprints. We all have different ways that we metabolize food. Some people will do better with a higher percentage of protein and fat, actually,
yeah, and fat
and
too.
less carbs. Some will do better with more carbs, less fat.
Right.
So, it varies. But this sort of gives you like a guideline to go by.
Right. And most importantly, you have to exercise to process the foods. And talking about a balanced diet, it's very important to understand the food groups to learn how to balance each meal. And we have a sample balanced diet here for breakfast. Here we have a banana, and for each meal, you should try to incorporate proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, of course, complex carbohydrates. This sample here we have a banana which will help with, it has some carbohydrates, and this is actually all you can have in terms of one serving. I used to think that this is half a serving, but this is actually one serving, okay? So then we have poached egg. This is also one serving. That will help with the protein as well. And we have 8 ounces of milk, and this can be skim milk or 2%, so you can cut back on the saturated fat. And then, of course, the complex carbohydrates.
Whole wheat bread.
Yes.
Okay, now we're talking about whole grains versus processed grains. In the whole wheat bread, you have the wheat germ, you have the fiber, you have the vitamin, you have the mineral. There are a lot of B vitamins in whole grains.
Absolutely.
This is why we're talking about balance. You get a little bit of something from each food group. In the banana, you'll get like potassium.
Right.
In the egg, you'll get like protein.
Right.
And again, in the milk, you get calcium, vitamin A and D.
Right.
You get your B vitamins and your fiber with your whole wheat bread. Now, keep in mind, if you're looking for bread, make sure it says whole wheat. Okay, wheat is just white bread that's turned brown.
Right.
They take out the germ. What do you have in the germ? You have the vitamin, you have the mineral, you have the enzyme, you have the fiber. So if it's wheat bread is just starch, which breaks down into sugar.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or if you prefer cereal, this is actually considered a serving, and it's also very good as far as complex carbohydrates and good with the fiber as well.
And that's 3/4 cups.
Yes. So talking about the portion sizes, most of you are confused, and it can be really confusing. How much do I eat? Like earlier, we talked about 2 to 3 servings of fish, and the recommendation is 3 ounces. So this is a sample of what 3 ounces look like, okay? Usually I go by the thickness of my little finger, and if you can feel this palm right here, I consider that to be 3 ounces. And what do you have over there, Gwen?
Or actually, another way to look at it, think of a 3-ounce serving of meat as a deck of cards, the size and thickness of a deck of cards. And what do you get from 3 ounces of meat? You get 21 grams of protein.
Yes.
So if you had 6 ounces of meat that day, that's going to be pretty much 42 grams of protein. And so you can get your other sources of the balance from other sources, from non-meat sources or something like that.
Right. So what else do you have over there in terms of...
Okay, we have vegetables. This is broccoli.
Right.
A 1/2 cup of broccoli is what a serving looks like.
Right.
Oatmeal, a 1/2 cup. That's what oatmeal looks like. Okay.
And you have a sample apple, 1 serving. That's what that looks like.
Coming up.
All of this is very important information, and it's really critical that we change the way we look at food to help us to better incorporate these tips. So Gwen, let's talk about some quick tips that can help you at home to change behaviors about food. I know it's very important to have an action plan in place.
So pretty much, think of it as a health behavior change plan. You have to come up with the plan. Say you want to eat more fruits and vegetables. Okay, I'm going to eat 3 vegetables and 2 fruits every day. Write that down.
I have type 2 diabetes, and I've had that for probably 30 years.
I've had diabetes since 1995.
I have watched all of the Bad Sugar series.
I have had diabetes since 1998.
I've watched the TV series Bad Sugar.
I'm a type 1 diabetic, and it's taught me how I can expand my lifestyle. It's taught me spiritually how to monitor my stress. It's taught me how, when I have an onset, how to calm myself down, my nutrition, how to exercise, and how I can fulfill my life without looking over my shoulder.
They clarified everything that the doctor was saying, but at a more slower pace, and to me, a very understanding pace to understand diabetes.
One thing I loved about it, it was pointing out, all of our new technologies and how the new, where we think one way that we're advancing in our technology, however, it's causing more stress if we don't monitor it.
Oh, I thought I knew, but I didn't. I had little knowledge, but that series expounded my knowledge.
For me, Bad Sugar have played a major important role in my life to control, to educate, and to teach others about diabetes.
That showed how God operates through us and how we need to connect with God in order to make sure that those sugars operate the way that they're supposed to.
Bad Sugar can teach you things that you know not of. It can help you expand your life. It can stop the problems, the health problems that you're going through. It can help you advance.
Bad Sugar.
There was things out there that I didn't know, and since I watched Bad Sugar, it's given me a lot of information that will help me further out.
Type 2 diabetes affects a lot of different things in your body, which I never knew about until I saw the episodes 7, 8, and 9.
I really find it very interesting and very knowledgeable for my health, how to understand, how to maintain, and how to eat properly to be able to control this disease, diabetes.
It's taught me about nutrition, it's taught me spirituality, and it's taught me how to live my life and enjoy myself longer.
I was able to reduce my medicine, and that's due to the fact of the Bad Sugar.
Call 1-866-257-3471. Operators are standing by. or log on to PreventiveCareWeekly.com and place your order. Remember, knowledge is power. Bad Sugar DVDs will give you that power over diabetes. Get it now. Don't miss it.
Well, let's talk about how to read food labels. It's very important because if you learn how to read food labels correctly, you can potentially cut back on buying junk from the grocery store. So, most importantly, when you read a food label, you want to look at the serving size, okay? It could be servings, it could be 1 cup, it could be 6 cups, it could be 6 crackers, it could be 8 crackers. And look at the amount per serving. Okay, some things I'm going to highlight real quickly, and then Gwen can tell us more. Look at the calories, how many calories per serving. And then look at the amount of total fat. The magic number for saturated fat, you want that to be less than or equal to 0.5 grams per serving, not per the whole box, per serving. Cholesterol, ideally, should be 0. You don't need cholesterol. You don't need to eat cholesterol. Your body makes cholesterol. Gwen, what else do you want to add on that?
The recommended daily intake for sodium is 2,400 milligrams, which is less than a teaspoonful. Pretty much 140 milligrams of sodium is considered, or less, is considered low sodium. And if you see something that says reduced sodium, they have these labels, you know, in the stores and things of that nature on cans, which I generally don't recommend canned foods because they're, for processing purposes, they're very, very high in sodium. But it'll say at least 25, if it's at least 25% less sodium than the regular serving, then it's considered reduced sodium.
And for fiber, look for at least 5 grams per serving. That is considered high fiber food. Or anything over 3 grams is also considered high fiber. Low cholesterol is anything less than or equal to 20 milligrams per serving. That is considered low cholesterol. All of this is very important information, and it's really critical that we change the way we look at food to help us to better incorporate these tips. So Gwen, let's talk about some quick tips that can help you at home to change behaviors about food. I know it's very important to have an action plan in place.
So pretty much, think of it as a health behavior change plan. You have to come up with the plan. Say you want to eat more fruits and vegetables. Okay, I'm going to eat 3 vegetables and 2 fruits every day. Write that down. Why do you want to do this? The why behind it is important.
That's important.
Well, because I'm going to lose weight, have less fat, which will potentially decrease my risk of heart disease
diabetes,
and high cholesterol and diabetes. Okay, so you have your goal, and then some barriers may come up. Think about some barriers may come up. Oh, I'd rather have a candy bar, I don't like sweets. And then come up with solutions, and then reward yourself.
Exactly, and try to stick to it. I want to thank you so much for being here today. I know we are running out of time, but on the next show, on part 2 of Healthy Eating, we will talk more about organic versus inorganic foods, phytochemicals, phytonutrients, antioxidants. For more information, PreventiveCareWeekly.com. See you on the next episode. Goodbye.
This program is not intended to be diagnostic or prescriptive. Please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider before adopting any of the lifestyle changes or other measures discussed in this program. We do not recommend any medication changes. Rather, patients should seek medical advice from their doctors or healthcare providers.